Welcome to The Power of X. Stories from the Front Lines, a podcast by Rafter X. Join us as we dive deep into the personal stories of our staff and clients, celebrating the people who make our roofing solutions exceptional. Each episode shines a light on the heart and soul of Rafter X.
Welcome to the podcast. This is something we're doing for Rafter X. Stories from the front line is what we're calling it. And really what it is and what we're doing here with the podcast is to get to know the people that build the culture of us as a platform, right? And so not so much the companies themselves or where those companies have come from or that, right? But really who you are. Andrew was on earlier, Puckett was here, right? And those folks. And as I go around to different brands and do this, the goal is not many companies have had such a lofty goal and hit it and then had a good record of what it looked like to get there, right? And the culture of the people and how that changed and shifted and formed. And so we had thought on the marketing side and on just kind of a documentation side of us, it would be really cool if we can look back maybe 3, 5, 7, 10 years, whatever it is, until we hit that kind of $1 billion goal, right? Of what that looked like from the human side of things, And so we're starting to document that now. We might do another podcast together 3, 4 years from now, right? And things could be totally different and our projections could be way off, right? Or maybe we hit those goals. So it's kind of like a time capsule, right? Yeah. So there's no rhyme or reason. There's no trick questions. There's no right or wrong answers, right, with it. It's just to get to know you, Randy Klimetz, and market leader here and major leader in the Southeast here, who you are and what makes you up and what makes you tick and goals, aspirations, and that stuff. So that's all we'll kind of go through, right? Does that make sense?
Sounds good.
Cool, man. So with that, give me kind of a 10,000 foot overview of who you are, what makes you tick. If you had an elevator pitch from floor 1 to 15 to tell somebody who you are, give us that.
Well, I would say first and foremost, I believe I'm a family man, right? And I've always been like to lead people and help people grow. Whether it was with I've been in sales for about 15 years, and just really like seeing people grow and help take people to the next level, whether that was in medical sales and roofing. I'm a father of 5. Grew up in New York, moved down in Atlanta, younger, about the age of 11, and went to school in the South Side, Peachtree City down there. Went to Georgia State. And have just been in the sales industry for many, many years, but roofing about seven years now. But in all those positions that I've had, I feel like I've really looked after the people that I worked with, always worked with. Even one of the big things with Perimeter from the beginning is that, you don't work for me. Like the owners, the leaders in the company have never introduced me as like, this is Randy, he works for me. Maybe past companies, people have done that, but within this company, it's always been that he works with me. And I've always felt that same way, that we're all team, whether you're a junior salesperson or you're a market leader or owner. We're all working for a common goal, a common culture. So I think that's kind of sums it up. It's mostly a family man and just try to do the right thing.
Yeah. The sales experience, you said you've been in sales for 15 years and here at Perimeter for 7, right?
In roofing for 7.
In roofing for 7.
Yeah. Perimeter, we merged with Perimeter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So prior to your roofing stint, give me a little background on what that sales looked like and what your experience looked like prior to that.
Yeah, it was in pharmaceutical sales. It was mostly single NDC pharmaceuticals, a lot of topicals and things of that nature. We were also did corporate health fairs for companies. we would go in with different health initiatives for businesses through biometric screenings, also allergy testings, things of that nature. Because that's my background. My background is in sports medicine. So it's one of the things I'm very passionate about. So I always kind of go back to that. I've always love helping people. My aptitude test in high school was said that I should be a physical therapist. So that was kind of the direction I was going, and got my bachelor's of science in sports medicine, and did worked in cardiac rehabilitation for a while, and then in the health related field. So I followed that passion with the corporate health fairs and in the medical field, and then just pivoted a little bit to so it's a big pivot, but there's a lot of parallels. There are a lot of parallels.
Sure, yeah.
It's still the managing of the sales teams is still the same, and just taking care of people. Actually, I had a very pivot from before the medical sales as well.
Well, you used to be in like nightclubs and stuff, right? Weren't you like run a big nightclub or something like that?
Yeah, it was. They were the biggest nightclub in the Southeast. We grossed about it was about $30 million a year.
Wow.
Was our gross. So we were right below like a couple of the Miami ones, which was like, what were the big ones in Miami back in
like
the
11
2000s? So we opened in 07. Yeah, so I was the director of marketing there. How that started is I was in college at Georgia State. One of my buddies there was doing security at it was a club called 1150, which was the club before it converted. Started as security there. It was just more of like a fun job, just on the side. Worked our way up to VIP, sections, doing that.
Yeah.
Then the coveted position was working the door, because you could make tips and with the big tips,
the
gatekeeper and the man, right?
Yeah.
And just from working the door for so long, for a couple years, you start knowing a lot of people.
Yeah.
During the renovation, when it shut down, I was throwing some parties at some little places just for my contacts and everything. And then when the club reopened, they had a director of marketing there that they weren't very happy with. They had me throw a party. I forget what it was. It was like I don't know. I think it was a Maxim party or something crazy like that. And reach out to my sphere of influence, past people that have come to the club, and then from the high school and everything else. And I think trackable on the guest list, I think it was like about a little over 500 people that had come out on that night, and they were like, yeah, you want the marketing position. They had sat me down because I was also in real estate.
Yeah.
I had my license and I was practicing real estate in Atlanta. And I, as a 23-year-old kid, 23, getting offered a good salary and a job that seemed fun.
Yeah.
I was like, heck yeah, let's take it.
Not a bad gig, right?
Not a bad gig. And but I knew nothing about marketing. I didn't, at that time I was sending out text blasts through the cell phone. I didn't know anything about short codes or any of that stuff. I didn't know. We used a rudimentary email blast. So I just kind of learned a lot of it on the fly. It was very, very heavy social media marketing. At that time, it was Facebook had just kind of come out, and it really wasn't being leveraged like it is now.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more effective in those early days. So that it was very heavy on the social media side.
Yeah, nobody was really blasting everybody all the time with everything, right?
No, we were like really the first ones that were doing those huge events in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of them is, no matter what I've done, it's just transparency has always been key. Whether it was I was dealing with nightclub promoters, or I was dealing with the sales team, medical sales, or the guys here. Day one, I was brought in as a manager of a roofing company through a friend who had bought into a company, and I've just transparency and really taking the shirt off your back for others is really important. People see that, not being fake. It's really, really important.
Yeah.
People will follow you, and And
well, and you have a
work
good team
alongside
now,
you.
right? So as far as you're the market leader of Athens, right?
No, I'm
Or
Alpharetta.
Alpharetta. I get
Alpharetta.
our markets messed up. It's only been a couple months. We got so many markets here. It's
Oh, I
like,
know. Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, what? So you have a team of folks that work in your market, and tell us a little bit about what that looks like. Especially like, I think a lot of the folks, some of this is for our investment group and Sawmill Capital and those folks, and I'm sure they're going to want to watch some of this stuff to see, what they're leading up. When we say market leader, what's that mean?
So a market lead basically helps the guys with everything. It's the training, making sure they get off their feet. Roofing is one of the, at least for the many industries that I've worked in, was one of the hardest to really get started in, just because that and real estate. But just because you're not getting paid for several months, most people can't. I tell people, like, if you hit the ground running, I mean, you're going to get a few deals, right? But then when you're getting paid in 2-3 months, you're paying all your past due bills.
Right. Yeah. You're
Month
still behind,
4,
right?
month 5, you're catching up a little. If you hit the ground running, really by month 6 is where you're usually making money, right? And doing that. So it's it's been taking the guys out, give them the gas money, taking them out for lunch, those little things, but were done for me.
Yeah.
Right. I know how much that meant when I was in that position. So doing those types of things for those guys, just, I really want to see them be successful. People like Landon Hammonds, for instance, who I trained. People that show up at my house every day. He had an hour and a half drive every day to my house, would show up 7:30 every day to train. I feel personally responsible when somebody has that type of drive and they're willing to have that much faith in me. I am responsible to make sure that this person is successful. Not to mention he's got a small child, a little bit, she's a little bigger now, but she's a small baby at the time, and wife. So, I take that very, very personally.
Yeah.
Sometimes to heart, sometimes stress about it, to make sure that they have deals going through. So I would say that's a big point of it. The training, the being there. I think the biggest part of it, which is intangible, which some people are good at, some aren't, is some people just want to talk. Some people just want to hear, they just want to talk through things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I did this today, or we got this going, and that's really pretty much all of the guys. I mean, they want to let you know what they got going on, how this happened, and sometimes they're talking through their own things.
Yeah.
After that conversation, maybe they might have done most of the talking. It might not be me that did most of the talking, but leaving that conversation, they may have a new understanding of what they need to do, or whatever. So it's a lot of times it's just being there, at all hours.
Yeah, I think you're that central point for camaraderie, that glue that kind of holds it all together, right? With that group. I was asked, a while ago, like, what would it take to hire 100 guys? Like, what would that look like? What would hold us back from that? I want to see if your answer would be the same as mine. Like, if I were to say, Randy, go, let's get 100 new reps throughout the country, right? What would be the toughest part in a short answer? What would be the toughest part to go hire 100 sales guys, or even 50 or 20, whatever, right? Because it's really the same as even if it's just one. About our industry and the way that we operate.
You would have to stagger them. I mean, at once, or
well, let's just say, like, if I said,
time.
hey, your challenge is get 100 sales reps on board and give them a shot to make it. Like, what's the number one challenge you would have with that? Besides finding them and recruiting them,
I would say there's probably two. One is the one I just aforementioned, is that the lag and sell. You have to sell them that dream. They need to believe in you, and they need to have that faith throughout that. That 3-month, 6-month period.
Because they're not making money, right?
It's not making money. And how do you stay motivated? Most people don't have that ownership mentality. They want to have come home with a paycheck every week, every Friday, right?
Some people, I mean, most people have to.
Most people have to,
right?
Well, I had to too.
Yeah.
I have 5 kids.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
You know, it's, but if you can see that vision, and if you can find a way to kind of squeeze by,
Yeah.
you know, then you could be a lot more way past where you were had you
Yeah.
stayed in whatever position or where you were before.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things is selling that dream and getting people to believe in it, that want to, and that the right type of person. I'm trying to say, it's not. I don't think it's hard getting to buy into it, because it's an amazing industry. I don't think there's very industries where, you know, you could make 6 figures in sales your first year and up to maybe $500,000, $250,000, $500,000 year 2. And we've got guys that do that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not a lot of positions where you can do that just kind of off the street. Granted, it's dangerous what we do, and it's not easy. There's a lot of moving parts. You have to balance a lot. Yeah, it does take a special type of person that can do it. So I think that's one thing is finding that type of person that isn't just, that wants to take ownership of their own things. They're not just an employee. They're not just you know, want to get that weekly check. You have to have that that certain type of, I don't know what you call it, but
little grit, right? Grit, stick to itness.
Little
right?
grit.
Yeah.
And that's like an ownership. Like, you
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
like, it's ownership. Because technically, you know, you're a partner. There's just, everybody's a partner. You're a 50-50 partner or whatever they're split or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
They're partners, you know, in this job, and that's how they're treated. I would think the other hard thing in it is like, you know, it's like staggering them. It's like you have to, how many, they're babies, like, right? So you have to show them everything. There's so much to learn, right? It's from the sales to the climbing to the adjustments to the organization and balance and everything else. It means how you can only, you know, maybe train 2 guys at a time.
So if we were able to fund guys and train guys, right,
Mm-hmm.
as a platform, as a company as a whole, where do you think that puts us a year from now? So, because right now we're saying, right, making sure people are fed while they're learning the process. We know the process. You and I know the process, right? Most of the people watching this are going to know the process.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were able to keep food in their bellies and their bills paid, right, not out buying sports cars and taking fancy trips yet. We're not at the $500,000 a year range yet. But if they're able to do that and they get trained, right, process trained, and then we put them out there into the market, what do you think that does for us as a company?
I think it definitely grows us. You know? I think you have to stay in contact with all these guys and be close. I mean, from day one, I've always sold the dream, like, you could, of what they can become and what they, you know, they may just want to sell $1 million a year and you know, make which is a lot of money. You know, they're making $150,000, $200,000 a year, and that might be fine. And or people like Landon or some of the other folks that I've trained. You know, from day one, I tell them, you know, I sell them on that dream. I tell them, you know, you can be a market lead. You can have your own market or own states or area or so it's it just requires the time. You have to be there for them. You have to listen. But if it's staggered, I think that it can definitely be done.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't have too many of like the infants, because with the infants, you require them everything. They need everything because they're brand new. When I came on, I didn't need them hold my hands for everything. Every scope, I remember every scope. Hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? You know, so there's definitely a learning curve in it, but you know, that's the one hard part is. But I think the hardest part is finding those people with all those skill sets.
Sure.
That can balance all that, because you're going 100 miles per hour every day. You're going to this one to this one. You're organizing this. You're doing this estimate. You're doing you can show you my phone. I mean, it's not, I'm sure you have the same,
Yeah.
you know, being up here now, all the guys and the Cat 5 and everything else. And it's crazy. But some days it doesn't stop, you know?
Yeah.
But I love that. I mean, I thrive off that. When I'm like slower, I feel anxious.
Like you're not doing enough. Like you're
I
not
get
missing something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, anxious. That's why I've said, like, I always want to train somebody, because it also holds me accountable. Because if it's 6 p.m., it's summer, right? It's not dark till 9. It's June, right? At 6 p.m., I've done everything in the day that I have to do, and it's like, okay, let's go home, right? Or if I have somebody in the truck, if I don't have them making money, you know, that first month, they're gonna fall off. I mean, and not just that they're not going to make it and therefore I'm not going to make money off of them, you know, their family's going to go hungry, you know? So like, and I take that, I do stress about that, you know? I really do, like, I take it like very personal. So like it was what pushes me to go out further. And what does that do for me? I make more money as well. So, you know, being out there and doing that is what I love. I love training them. I've always done that. I'm very detail oriented. I over explain way too much.
Yeah.
I'll go like through everything, beat a dead horse, but it works. That's my style.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think the one thing, we had a conversation a few weeks back, and it was kind of on that same point, right? We were talking about training guys, and I think that was something that stuck out to me that you said is, you know, hey, I like training guys for the simple fact of it actually makes me better, right? And then your follow up on that I found pretty like profound and interesting was exactly what you said. Like, hey, if I got a guy with me, I'm gonna work until the sun's going down. If I don't have a guy with me, it's not that I'm not working hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're at a certain level in sales, right? And you're up there, right? You're at the top of the company. So if you want to head home at 6 o'clock on your last appointment, it's like you're not shortfalling you or your family. You're good, right? I'm not calling you going, hey man, you're down. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're there, right? But if you have a guy with you, you almost have that, you feel that responsibility to stay out there with him to keep him going so he has the best, you know, results to succeed, right? And the best opportunity to succeed.
Pack the biggest punch in the time that we have, right?
I thought that was really awesome when you said that to me. I mean, it said a lot to me for who you are and your integrity to care enough about someone else to sacrifice your time at home with your family that I know is important to you. Like we also had a talk of like, my club days are over, right? Like we've had those days, our party days are over.
I made my mistakes.
Yep, we've been there, we had our fun time. And now you know, and we had to talk, it's family. If it's not work, it's home with the family. That's where I want to be. It's not where I have to be. That's where I want to be. I want to be with my wife and kids. Mm-hmm. You said that very clear to me and very candid to me. And, but to know that's where you want to be and where you love to be is at home with your wife and kids, but that you will still stay out there till sun's going down because you have another guy in your truck. Like, I think that says a lot to me. I know that says a lot to me as a leader of this company. So that appreciation that I have, just so you know, is felt throughout the entire leadership of the Rafter platform and the management company, you know, down here in the Southeast. So, yeah, absolutely, dude. So with that, right, like, where does Randy Klimetz want to go for, you know, going forward in the future? You know, whether it be in this company or in the future of Randy, just what do you want to do? What are your goals? Like, what do you want to achieve?
Well, I love the industry. I love everything about it. I feel like, you know, it fits all of my strengths, my suits. I like how every day is different, right? You're never at the same place. We're out in nature. It's beautiful.
Right.
And I love the hustle. I love the camaraderie. You know, it fits my strong suit. So I love being out. I love the training. I want to continue. I would love to grow within the platform. You know, I've had opportunities in the past to go different routes and ownership and partnership, this and that. And, you know, I don't want necessarily the headache of the and the liability, you know, going that route.
Yeah.
And I've always loved everybody, you know, in the company, the ownership in the company, and I've always had a strong sense of loyalty, and I've looked out that looked up to them. And, I remember the ownership when I was coming from like the other roofing company to hear they did like an A/B commission, and my overrides with my team, they come over here, it was different. Like they would pay them at the end of the months, and it was different. So like coming over, I remember it was like money got tight, right? It got tough, right? And I remember they just take money out of their pocket. Oh, what do you need? What do you need? I remember they pulled out a duffel bag and just put money. You need more? You need more? You need more? It's like little. I know it's like probably like a couple $100, and it's so small, right? It's not even a big deal. But for me at that time, it allowed me to like buy groceries, right? And I know like what that means, for people. So it goes a long way when an organization really truly like has your back.
Yeah.
And do that, and I do have it. I'm very loyal, so I do want to grow within the organization, and create more of me. I've always sold that dream with everybody.
Yeah.
And I think you can't hold anybody back. I've never tried to do that because I realize that if they're successful, I'm going to be way more successful.
That's
way
right.
more successful. So I've never ever tried to hold anybody down. Never tried to. Never trying to make anybody look in a bad light or anything like that. But yeah, that's what I see it. I love creating more leaders and role models, good fathers, husbands. I think that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Industry-wise, you've been in the insurance restoration industry for 7 years total?
No, not quite. Actually, it's 2018.
2018,
Yeah.
so six.
Like 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
What's changed from when you started to now?
Ask your question. Yeah, lots changed in that time. It has gotten more difficult. You have a lot more of the higher deductibles, the ACVs.
ACV policy meaning like
insurance
once they
is-
cut the depreciation, like that's it. Like they depreciate a certain amount, because some people watching might not know what it means.
Gotcha.
Claims $20,000, houses, roofs, half its useful life, so they take the 20 to 10. I'm using simple terms, obviously. Recoverable, we can get the other 10 back once we do the roof. ACV, you're just getting the 10.
Yes. Yeah.
Puts
In
you
layman's
into-
terms, more money out of pocket.
More money out of pocket, which means clients are more likely to bid work out, right?
It's a big workout. There's a lot of. It's just they're definitely more likely to
Get
do
slippery.
that. And then you have some insurances that become more easy, but for the most part, like your farmers, AmFams used to kind of, I don't know how they are in some of the other states, but we've had some that have become easier. But the big ones, the big two, like the State Farms, Allstate, have really found ways to really tighten up and are doing crazy stuff. I've asked some of the guys. I remember there was a viral video with one of the perimeter guys with Raymond about 2 years ago, and I remember one of the adjusters was on there talking about it. Little did they know that they were like, oh, he just wants to make $1, and it really that wasn't it. First of all, it wasn't his roof. Second of all, he's a partner, so he's not making that much money. It was more of a matter of principle, because this gentleman, the roof was just blasted, it was destroyed, not repairable, over 100 missing, wind damaged shingles, and they had this clown out there that was just there to be the bearer of bad news, right? It's just got more and more down that road, and it's just become harder and harder. They'd rather spend hundreds of millions of dollars on football stadiums and sponsorships and everything else than treating their homeowners right. But where I was getting at with that was, I was talking to this adjuster, and I was like, well, why can't there be? She was like, they pay too much. And I was like, well, you know what? I actually agree with you. I agree that maybe some of these insurance companies have been a little bit too liberal, maybe possibly in the past, right? Where they have a lot of relationships with the adjusters, they have this, that, or whatever. I said, why can't you have that happy medium, She's like, well, they just bought too much in the past. And that's not a good answer. That's not a good justification.
Yeah.
Because you've got policyholders that have been paying money for something. In some cases, we've had homeowners that have never filed a claim in 50 years. They paid for 7 roofs of their lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. And when it comes time that to actually use it, then they're just getting the runaround. The adjusters aren't calling back. It's just the typical games. Deny, delay, discourage.
Yeah.
Is the playbook with some of them. So that's unfortunate to see. I do wish with some of them that there was more of a happy medium, because I do know that some have been too liberal with buying it. Some of the contractors or some of the people in the industry may have adjusters, IAs, and this and that may have been pigs in the past, too greedy or what have you. But it's that happy medium, I think, should exist, and that's one of the things that's been really difficult. One of the big changes that I've seen. A lot of price increases too. That could be a factor.
Yeah, I think for the changes in the carriers, right? I'm not one to take one side or the other, because we're contractors, right? But I can look at the industry as a whole in the time I've been in it and see exactly what you're talking about and where we're at with certain carriers and certain really it's kind of the playbook as a whole, where a lot of carriers are at, and they get a bad rap because a lot of times it is right now it's kind of crunchy with them, right? Sometimes it's like they really seems like they're making you jump through a lot of hoops and they just want to deny, and you see the things on social media and all that about it. But when I look at the flip side to that, and that's not wrong, that's absolutely not wrong, that I feel the same way. We have claims. It's like, are you serious? Mm-hmm. It's clearly it's right there, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the flip side is, like you're saying, is in the past you had a lot of contractors driving claims that were bogus, mm-hmm. that they didn't need new roofs, and the homeowners don't get up there to know it, and so they call it, claim it. Maybe the IA pays for it because he's incentivized because he's a third party, right? Yep. And so then you have these carriers in the background who are also business, mm-hmm. who are taking huge hits.
Have shareholders.
Their shareholders, their accountants, their boards are looking at going, well, we gotta stop the bleeding. And so then that cycles into the bad actors on the insurance side, right? Which cycles into bad actors on the contractor side. So you're right. It's like that happy medium. Where do we find? Because another thing that I've been thoroughly impressed with our guys multiple times, and I can say this for a fact, I've been on roofs with you, where you've said, like, nothing here.
We're very selective.
Nothing
I've been
here.
trained to be very selective.
Yep, yeah. Nothing here, not calling it in. Mm-hmm. Right? And I know for a fact, and I could list the companies in this town, that they call in everything.
They fly a drone.
They throw it at the wall, see what sticks, and and if it comes in. And that policy itself ends up coming back to bite you. The idea is
everybody.
Yeah, the idea is, we'll make it up in volume, right? It's like volume negates luck. That's a great saying, but at the same time, it ends up biting you because you have no integrity component. And so, I've seen that of you guys, of you leaders here, and I hope that our other brands all act the same way. I don't have any first-hand knowledge. I can only assume they do because of the integrity of Rafter as a whole. I don't think they're all buying companies and growing them in this platform that don't operate the same. So it would be great from my perspective, to be able to take ourselves out of the insurance versus contractor battle, right? And say, hey, we're big. This is the way we're doing it. We don't really care what the rest of the industry does. We're doing it with integrity. We're doing it with process. We're doing right by our clients regardless, right? Whether it's we got to fight you or whether or not we don't, right? We're going to do the right thing on every roof that we get on. And that's what I've seen from our guys this far. I think 100%. That you lead the charge in that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think everybody's been trained that way. Maybe I didn't think this 3-4 years back that, like, hey, these people will come back around. I've always tell them, hey, we'll come back once a year or 2 years or something like that. And when I was saying that, I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna hear from them again, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
Yeah.
So many have come back around. When you operate with integrity,
that's
you
right.
tell these homeowners, hey, it's not quite ready. We'll circle back around or keep them on the watch list or what have you. You keep a good name, and also in the neighborhoods too. Because like, now you're going to have some denials because of what we mentioned with what happens with some of the carriers, even on ones that 100% are warranted for a full roof replacement. But when you do operate with integrity, file the ones that are supposed to be filed, or tell the homeowner, hey, look, here's what we got going on up here. This one, it's got this, and this, but we're missing this, and this. This one's a 50-50. I have no problem. I've heard people train in the past, not within the company, but I've heard other companies and sales and what you're supposed to say and everything. I'm not comfortable with that. I can't tell somebody, oh, we got this. This is 100%. We got this. Yeah. If it's a 50-50, I'm going to tell them this is a 50-50. Hey, look, I probably would wait on this one. Every now and then you get this guy that's like, hey, we got a chance. I want to go. I want to do it. And I explain to them the pros and cons of that, and you just let them make an informed decision. And then if that's what they wish to do, and if I feel like it's something I would want to take on, then we'll go that route. But it's just transparency, honesty, and it comes back to you.
Yeah.
You don't want that stuff at nextdoor.com.
No.
Yeah.
And it makes it tough on contractors, because I know that as a contractor, as an organization of our size, we want to operate by a standard. Mm-hmm. That standard, I think we do operate by that standard, right? We have a standard for what we would consider a repairable roof, a non-repairable roof, right? And we have the backup for all that, and we try to not get into the gray. It's kind of like, hey, it is or it isn't, right?
Correct.
Then you have the carriers, and I say carriers as a whole all have a different standard. Correct. So the way I've kind of stated is, like, I fly a lot. I go to a lot of airports, and I can fly out of TSA in Atlanta, and I can leave my shoes on and my laptops in my bags, depending on one security versus the next. But then when I fly back from Raleigh, I have to strip all the way down and take everything out, including my headphones, out of my laptop. It's like that you're all TSA, but you have such different standards. How do I know how to act when I get there? I'm not saying how we act on the roof, like we have our standard, but they don't line up right now. There's we're doing what we know is right on our side based on what it takes to repair these roofs or replace them or they're good, right? We know that as a contractor.
Yeah.
It's hard to and I know we don't discuss policy, but as far as homeowners ask us, like, should I call my insurance company? Should I replace this roof? And it's like, well, it's going to cost you more to replace it than it is to repair it, or cost you more to repair it than it is to replace it. We can tell them those things, and then it's up for them to decide what they want to go. But what is that criteria? And I think it makes it really hard for us to necessarily work with those homeowners sometimes, right? Because it's like, oh, well, who's your carrier? Oh, well, this is what they require. Well, does this line up with this? Like, that's a lot of information for us to keep, versus maybe a flat, if there was a flat insurance standard for what needs to be. Yeah, so.
That's no, you're right. There isn't a set criteria. Every single one's different. That's also part of the training
and those carriers, and everyone has a different, right? Everyone has a different criteria, and those change.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
we're doing quadrants.
now.
We're doing 10
now
by
we're counting
10.
tabs. Now we need 14. Now we need 27. Now we need 4. Now it's just like, what?
One of the companies, hey, we're not buying wind anymore. What?
Yeah.
We're not buying wind.
Yeah. We don't buy wind.
Okay.
So that's just.
We need to have more than 50% of. Okay, so we need so it needs to be hit by a tornado. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. It's tough, and so we get. Well, I think a lot of times contractors, I don't want to say we, like, but contractors as a whole, then get kind of a bad rap. But you're mad at me because I didn't take my shoes off going through the scanner. Well, I just left from O'Hare and they didn't told me I didn't have to.
Yeah,
that's the same idea, right?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
So, yeah.
But there are a lot of contractors out there that will just throw everything in the wall, see if it sticks. And
of course,
it does make a bad name for everybody. It really does. It kind of messes it all up. So
yeah, I think a standard contractor, right? If there was a standard for contracting that I don't know, somehow be in this arena, and a standard carrier practices, right, that everybody played,
I would love it.
It would make for it would make for more integrity for the client, right? Mm-hmm. It would make for more trust and confidence for the client. Like, at the end of the day, this is where we align, the carriers and the contractors. We align with that client.
Correct.
We're both serving that client as businesses.
Their best interests.
Right? And so as that, we should serve their best interests first. It's hard to do if we're not doing it on the same plane, right? So maybe in the future with the size, and I think that maybe we could get to this with the size of company that we are and that we're getting to, we'll be able to be in those rooms and have those conversations with the people that we need to, with the Big Red and
that would be
all
great.
those carriers.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So
Just a standard, and
I know our guys want it. I know our guys operate with it with integrity, and you're always going to have a person here or there that that's not feeling the same way. But as a whole, I know in our conversations, our leadership meetings, and the tribe meetings with the Rafter tribe, that's the route we're going with it.
Yeah.
Right. That's the route we're going with it.
and it can be hard, especially with some of the newer guys. Like if you've had like a dry spell.
Yeah.
Let's say for a while, right? Well, especially I remember like maybe definitely the first couple of years or so. It's like you get on a roof and you've had a dry spell for like a few, maybe a week or a couple weeks. For me, a dry spell is like a week, right? If I'm not signing up stuff, and if not training people and doing something, it's a week's like a dry spell. But especially like early on, it's easy to say. You could trick yourself into saying that's damage.
Yeah.
It's something that's like, is very borderline.
Yeah.
When you're starting out, so it's very key. Training those guys the right way, so that way, adjusters aren't going biased into that's Randy with perimeter.
Yeah.
I already know this claim is going to be BS, right?
Yeah.
You can't have that. Most of the guys know that when they see me, they know there's going to be something up there. They're not going to be going up there on just a blank roof.
Yeah, and I mean, we want that as a whole for our entire company, right? We want that same integrity of, like you said, when an adjuster shows up, they see Randy's truck. It's like, oh, good, this guy doesn't bring me out on BS. But you're right, as far as, when salesmen get into a slump, it's kind of similar to baseball. They start swinging at outside pitches.
Yeah,
right.
No, it's great analogy. Yeah,
like it's just kind of
I coach baseball. So
it's kind of something that's like, oh, what do you do? And you're getting desperate. You want to get that hit, right? You want to get that sale. That's any sales. I think that's any sales. It's not just roofing sales. It's like, well, I got to get one because you're getting fed from it, right? That's their livelihood. So, well, man, I think my last question to you would be kind of in the framework of if you could paint the picture here at Rafter of in our brands as to what you would want to see and what we could do to kind of serve you and your team and the companies as a whole. Like what's something that you could say, like, man, I really wish if we could deliver this, or if we could do this better, or initiate this, integrate this, implement this, what would that look like for you?
I would say the biggest thing is I've already probably have touched on this a little bit in the past, but the recruitment of new guys, of good quality guys, but good training on the door side. So like a successful project manager or sales representative, they can also generate their own leads. Not only can they can go out and sell. I mean, I think somebody's back against the wall. Most people could probably sell. I mean, yes, maybe some can't, but will they? Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you did when you started.
Yeah.
I started. I remember when I started. I remember I was 36 and 42 now. I was 36 and I was knocking doors in the heat all summer long, and I'm thinking, God, where did I go wrong in my life? Like, what am I doing here? I'm getting doors slammed in my face.
Yeah.
I'm seeing over the 21-year-old AT&T salesman over here, or selling fiber, this and that, and I was like, I made some wrong decisions, right? But it's a stepping stone. It's like how everybody starts that way, and if you're not willing to go out there and just to get those no's, get that rejection, and just forget about it, on to the next, you're really not going to get anywhere. It's the guys that you don't want to go take somebody in your truck and train them for 2 weeks, and then they're like, all right, ready for my leads. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
As long as you're not afraid of climbing a roof. Anybody can just feed anybody leads. And we think we should. I think we should provide leads as well, but
Sure.
if they're also,
maybe one for one, right?
At least give me a 1-for-1 or something, right?
Yeah. So training training reps.
Training's a big one. Making sure that they're quality. Making sure they're going to
in that training they have some of that door knocking experience training.
I'll take them in the truck. I'll take them around. I'll do all that. I love doing that. And in the past, what I've done with like brand new guys is like actually what you guys are kind of talking about is the running deals together for the first few. If I'm running deals with somebody, I'll pay for all their stuff. I'll pay for the gas. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll make sure they're straight.
Yeah.
You know how many new boots I bought? Here, take my old boots. I'll buy a pair. You know how many times I've done that? Shoot, I'm probably 10 boots in.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I will look out for the guys. Guys on my team. They know I'll be there for them. Any of the guys. Still any of the guys know that I'll. That's what I did for the first 2 years here, or definitely the first year and a half. I put them before me. A lot of times they'd be like, Randy, you gotta sell too. Maybe like your team's killing it, but you gotta get out there too. You gotta make money too.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, hey, your sales aren't good. It wasn't coming from a place like that. It was more like, you gotta look after yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because what was happening was my inspections were like backing up. They're like, hey, put your stuff on it. And that was before we had like a very like organized calendar system.
Yes.
And that, right? Guys were filling me up every day.
Yeah.
Getting this market off the ground was difficult. The first few years was, it was a lot.
Yeah.
I was doing probably 80% or more of the climbs were for other people, and I don't mind doing that. I like it. It's building for the future, and that's what I'm all about.
Well, hopefully with this new program we got that we're getting ready to roll out here in the upcoming months, that we can hit some of those for you. You know what I mean? We can get that training, we can get them that knocking experience and some of that climbing experience. There's a kind of a step program that we're looking at putting in play that we're just kind of figuring out the itinerary and the coursework on it and starting to kind of build some of the content with it. So hopefully when we do this video again a couple of years from now, or you'll be like, man, that worked. Right? Yeah. Now I got 30 guys under me, right? Or whatnot. So cool. Well, I appreciate you, dude. We appreciate everything you've done here and that you're continuing to do. I do personally, for sure. We've had plenty of discussions about it. And I look forward to seeing you grow with the company.
Yeah, me as well. I'm excited the directions that you're going to take the company and how there's a lot of things that we were missing with the just making everything very professional. The presentations, the commercial presentations, residential presentations. Really excited about all that stuff. Great. You're really tech savvy too. It's good. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, I appreciate you.
So. All right, brother. Awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, have a great rest of the day, dude.
Thanks for watching the stories from the people who make our platform go. To learn more about who we are and ways to partner with our platform, visit rafterxroofing.com.